Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm creating a slimline card using the party on the farm. So in this case I am first going to start on my background because I am going out of my comfort zone with some blending that I have never done before from combination, and then I'm not speaking about the grass. But the sky, and I really wanted to see first how that was turning up before I started on all the images. But as in my previous cards, I am also using distress inks today to color in my images as well as to blend my background. And here you can see those hails. Those are from the Slimline stitched hillside borders from Fawn from their mini release in May. And for my panel that I will be using for my background, I use the large Slimline with sliders, the largest rectangle out of those dies. So I've cut them out using Nina, and the images I am coloring in on Strathmore Bristol Smooth with my distress inks. Just saying that in front because sometimes I forget to say the paper that I'm using, but you can find everything in the description box below if I haven't mentioned it during my videos. So now that my backgrounds are ready, they can dry aside, and I am going to stamp out my images. You could see them lying there in front, but I stamped them out on the wrong paper. So here I'm doing it again, using that antique linen distress ink onto Strathmore Bristol Smooth, and I'm just going over it a few times just to get a great image. That's easier for me when I'm doing no line coloring, that everything is like perfect. And I stamped it with an echo. So I just turned my paper, stamped it once more, and now I'm done stamping. I am going to color everything in after this. So for the distress inks I am using, I will show them before taking them to my acrylic block, so that you can see which ones I am using for each image. But just if you are unsure about the color, just check below in the description box. If you cannot see which one is for a specific figure, just ask me and I will figure it out for you. No worries about that. And then I started. So, as in my previous videos, but I just want to repeat it for the ones that haven't seen those or that don't really get the idea of what I'm doing. I add my ink on top of the image. I follow a line for that, so I really trace the image that I stamped out with that antique linen. Now for the flags that I'm doing here, I wanted it to be really soft from one side, so in the end I add my inks to two sides of the triangle, and then I drag it out towards the rest, keeping it really light. So just adding ink, taking a damp paintbrush so no ink is left on my paintbrush, and then I go back in. So if you want to go darker, that's always a possibility, just add another layer or add a soft glow of the ink. But if you want to create a really soft effect with some really in-depth parts of your figure, I would really recommend layering and taking your time to really add a bit of color, drag it out, return when it's dry, and so on. So I hope that is helpful. Otherwise, just ask me. I'm really glad if I can help in any case. So I must admit, from all these images from Party on a Farm, my favorite is the sheep. It's so adorable, but when I'm coloring everything in, I really love coloring in that cow. So I don't know if you own this stamp set yourself and if you have a favorite image, but otherwise I would love to know that. But yeah, here I am doing exactly the same as I did before. I take my paintbrush, and I barely have used water for that, but I go into my ink that I have there on my acrylic block, and then I go into my jar with water. I make my paintbrush damp, and I drag that color out, and I just keep returning to the same areas to get it deeper from coloring and such. So I'm hoping that is a bit clear. So I will be putting on some music until my coloring is done. So now I'm going to use the matching dies to die cut all these images, and then I can continue with assembling my cards. So for the card I am using a combination of permanent Pritt adhesive roller, some liquid glue, some Scotch 3M foam tape, to create some different kind of dimensions. And I'm still like figuring out how everything is going to be placed. I want to stamp out happy birthday, so that one I'm going to heat emboss. For the heat embossing I am using my Versamark clear embossing ink, and I will be using my Nuvo embossing powder Glacier white. I am using it all the time when I'm heat embossing. I have told you about it already, but it's really a handy embossing powder when you're not going that detailed. It's quite thick, but the other advantage is that when you have stamped something less, so you don't have a clear image or not everything is exactly stamped out, then it really, when it melts, it smoothens it out like crazy. I really love it, because sometimes, for example, the P from happy, not in this case, but sometimes I have it stamped out and I think that I got it stamped out correctly, and then it appears that there is still a part missing. Then this embossing powder really fixes it. So I can only recommend it, but because it smoothened it out a bit more, it's not that fine. So if you want a really detailed image or a really thin font, this is not the embossing powder you need, but otherwise it's the perfect one. So now, as I am adhering everything, I didn't know what was wrong about it, but something was missing. So I stopped filming after I adhered everything, and I asked my crafty friends, Julia as well as Jarle, which are two amazing girls that I met through Instagram. Julia is the one with who I am doing a lot of Challenger Crafty Friends videos, but currently inspiration is lacking. So we're currently taking a break until everything with the crisis and such turns a bit more to normal, and we just can create all the time and the ideas keep flowing in, which is normally the case. I must admit, normally when I'm making a card I get like 3 more ideas to create another card with. That has stopped during this period, but I was so fortunate that when this Hello Bluebird release finally showed up, I just got all those ideas, so I really took the time to create all those, and those I'm also showing at this current moment to you. But I must admit, before this one, I was really stuck for a while and just showing you cards that I made a while back already, but didn't edit it yet and such. So I'm really glad that this release helped me to get out of that uncomfortable space. But for now, the Challenger Crafty Friends is taking a break. I hope that we will be back soon, but we just need to take our time sometimes, and get everything sorted for ourselves before we can go crazy. So that's where we are at, but you can ask them anything. They are amazing. I took a picture of the assembled card, and then I was like, something is wrong. I don't know. Do I need to add a sequence? Do I not? Is there something missing, or is it just because I used the color combination in the background, which I really like how it turned out, but I must admit, normally I wouldn't combine yellow with purple. So I'm really happy with the end result, but yeah. And then Julia suggested butterflies, but I don't have enough butterflies. Well, I sort of do, but in my previous card, I don't know if you remember it, but with the love you with the red and then the two bunnies that are moving towards each other, I colored in a few butterflies, and I must admit it was a pain. Those tiny areas, getting enough shading, then the body and such, so I didn't want to do any butterflies. And then I saw this star in the same stamp set, so I just stamped it out as much as I could on this piece of paper, and now I'm coloring them in. So next up I needed to die cut it, like I think these are 10 stars. I needed to die cut it 10 times and then I could really get them onto my background. And with the addition of the stars, I was so happy about it. So I was really thankful for Jarle and for Julia. So once again, thank you, girls. It's really handy to have this crafty community where you can rely on other people, you can ask their opinions, and they are just fair to you, and they help. It's really amazing. So I'm now going to die cut each star, and then I will adhere them onto my background using some liquid glue again. And then this card is finished. So I have adhered it onto a Slimline card base that I'm not showing because of course this video is longer than you are used of me, but you're okay with it, you told me, so I'm just going with this. And yeah, this card is just finished. So I really hope that you like the card design, and of course the background. It's something that I usually don't do, but I'm glad I did. If you have any questions, you can always leave them down below. I am happy to help, and I am hoping to see you next time. Bye!